Baseball cards. You got baseball cards. Need 'em, got 'em, need 'em, got 'em, need 'em, got 'em. Welcome to Hey Guys Podcast. I'm Rob, that's Liam, and this week we watched Little Monsters from 1989. The film that asks, what if Nightbreed, but for kids? Because honestly, the similarities are wild. A hidden world beneath ours, full of strange creatures, weird rules, body-warping transformations, and a charismatic blue chaos demon leading the way. Clive Barker gave us a dark, twisted underworld of monsters. Little Monsters gives us the same thing, just with more slime, more denim, and significantly more Howie Mandel. And speaking of Howie Mandel, let's talk about Maurice, the hyperactive, sugar-fueled, gremlin-adjacent monster who looks like he's about to headline a punk gig. The craziest part? Howie Mandel was 2 years older than Daniel Stern when they made this. Daniel Stern, the dad. So yes, the monster under the bed is canonically older than the father, and honestly that explains everything about the energy he brings to this film. Then there's the food, the infamous onion and peanut butter sandwich, a combination so psychotic it feels like a cry for help. It's the kind of meal you invent only when you're either a monster, a child, or someone who's lost a bet. The film treats it like a quirky detail. I treat it like a culinary war crime. And here's the thing. Kids in the 80s and 90s were built different. They watched films like this, full of nightmare fuel, body horror, monsters melting, limbs stretching, faces warping, and just shrugged it off. Meanwhile, as much as I have faith in my 7-year-old, I'm pretty sure this movie would push him over the edge. Maurice alone would give him would have him sleeping with the lights on until GCSEs. And I'll say it outright, I wholeheartedly believe this film is a Nightbreed prequel. All these monsters, they grow up here, get weirder, get darker, and eventually move to Midian. It tracks, it fits, it explains everything. And speaking of nightmare fuel, Boy's Face. This is a kid's movie. I'll say that again, a kid's movie. And they gave the villain a face that looks like a peeled grape wearing a wig. Then there's Snick, who why couldn't they give him a neck? He looks like a henchman designed by someone who ran out of budget halfway through the sketch. And through all of this chaos, we have Brian, who spends half the time behaving like a junior MacGyver. Traps, gadgets, improvised tools. The kid is one montage away from building a monster-catching device out of a torch, a shoelace, and a packet of crisps. He's the most resourceful kid in cinema, not named Kevin McAllister. And honestly, how well-adjusted is Brian going to be long-term? His dad is Marv from Home Alone, a man who gets hit in the face with bricks for a living, and his mum is Rachel Phelps from Major League, a woman whose entire personality is sell the team. This child was destined for chaos even before the monsters show up. But beneath all that chaos, the pranks, the slime, the monster world that looks like a rejected Nightbreed set, there's something strangely charming here, a weird, messy, imaginative kids movie that somehow became a cult classic. It's equal parts heartwarming, horrifying, and what were they thinking? So, Liam, I do apologise. I had a lot to say. So come on, grab your flashlight, check under the bed, and let's talk about the only kids' film where the monsters are fun, the rules make no sense, and the sandwich is a crime against humanity.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, you've basically just done the podcast just, on your own, basically, there. I love, just before we start recording, Rob's like, oh, this podcast won't be that long, and then you do like a 40-minute intro. Unbelievable. Yeah, obviously I don't know where to start with that, but then I also don't know where to start with this movie. I mean, if you're talking about niche, you're comparing Little Monsters to Nightbreed. Both pretty niche movies in the grand scheme of things. But there's something about that aesthetic, that kind of late 80s, early 90s, where we were briefly obsessed with monsters. So in the movies, there was the aforementioned Nightbreed, there was Freaked, another movie we've done in this podcast. With toys, there was Pocket Monsters, My Pet Monster, that weird little goblin who lived in a cage. You had to buy the cage with the goblin.
You could put your hand up his ass and make him move.
You put his hand up his ass. Remember Mighty Max?
I remember Mighty Max.
They were Polly Pockets, but for boys because they were monsters.
Yeah.
It was just the fucking rage in the late 80s, early 90s, just like gross stuff, monsters. And this movie, on an aesthetic level, sums it up perfectly. And as you said, it was like, this is back in an era where movies weren't worried about scaring the shit out of kids. Now, obviously, I didn't grow up with this movie. But even watching it as an adult, I'm just like, oh, yeah, I get it. I can totally see why this movie would disturb a generation of kids. And for a while, it was kind of tiptoeing. There were moments of grossness. But when is it the boy who shows up at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for one, I don't know where he came from. It didn't feel like there was any mention of the boy. Just all of a sudden, it was the boy.
there was hints of boy wants this, but don't go on boy's stairs. But there was
Yeah,
never
yeah,
actual boy. I mean, I will take it a little bit before that. The moment where I threw up the red card and said maybe I'm not going to show my kid this
yeah. Mhm.
was when Maurice's eyes popped out of his skull,
Oh,
and you had
on the initial reveal, yeah.
yeah, yeah, the initial and his eyes popped out of his skull, and you had the sinew and everything coming off, and I thought, wow, okay,
It's weird because just before that, like one of my favorite sequences in the film is Morris's reveal. So I think the puppetry work with like the clothes and everything is absolutely fantastic. As you say, sometimes the limited budget you can very much see up on screen kind of pushes up against their ambitions. But in that sequence, it's like a clear, Wizard of Oz homage. I think they even mentioned the fact that it's a Wizard of Oz homage in the movie. And it's like, oh, this is so clever, so aesthetically fun. And then all of a sudden, you just get pure gross out. And I think you used the term body horror. I don't think that's a stretch, dude. Like,
no,
this is Cronenbergian at times, some of the stuff in this film. Like, about 15 minutes in, I started settling into it. And I was just like, oh, maybe it's not that bad. And then Snick shows up with, as you said, the fact that his neck couldn't move. He has the most disturbing wig because the wig is attached to his neck rather than his head.
yeah.
So when he moves his head, the wig stays still, and it should look hokey, but instead it looks quite disturbing. But he's talking to that kid who has like hands attached to his face. Then he just rips his head off, and you're like, okay, we're off to the races now. This film is fucked.
Who do you know who Snick was as well?
Yeah, DeCommon, right?
Rick DeCommon. Well, he was in it in the TV with the Playboy bunny, and I thought
that was the first. When he's like Fred Savage does that whole like overall kind of like I'm going to sneak out of my bedroom to watch TV nonsense, and we'll get to the sandwich in a minute. I was like, oh, cool, Rick DeCommon. I was like, oh, that was a small part for him, and then of course he shows up later as the monster.
Yeah. And as soon as he started speaking, I was like, because when I saw him, because we mentioned him last week, because with the Common, we thought didn't make that many films. It turns out he's appeared in a lot.
Dude, he might be like, if we did like a list, and we're never going to do it because we're far too lazy. So we're on like episode 262 or something like that of the Hey You Guys podcast. I reckon he'd be in like the top 10 actors of movies we've covered. If you see what I mean, like how many of that 262 had Rick DeCommon in them? I reckon it's a pretty high percentage.
Him and I forget her name at the moment, the lady from Die Hard, Lethal Weapon.
Oh, she's in all the. She's like the mum from the 80s, basically.
Yeah, but honestly, I couldn't get over it. Like I completely forgot a lot about this film. I will admit, I enjoyed this film as a kid. I wouldn't say I watched it all the time, but I do remember it being fun, as it would.
It is fun.
Oh, it is
it's
fun.
Just fun and disturbing.
As an adult, Maurice is a little bit too much to handle now because he is on a constant sugar rush. I mean, especially being a parent of a 7-year-old human E number. You've met my kid. You've seen how my kid acts.
He's got a bit of energy. And I mean, that's one of the notes I've got. I was like, watching this now, one of the first questions you need to ask yourself is, in regards to whether you're going to enjoy this as an adult, is what is your tolerance for Howie Mandel as Maurice? And it's like, I went back and forth because my first reaction was, oh shit, I'm going to hate this. He's too much. It's like the comparisons with Beetlejuice are tenfold. The fact that he was even designed by Alan Monroe, who did the design work for Beetlejuice as well. But it's not just the aesthetic. His performance is so Michael Keaton. And don't get me wrong, Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice is actually quite annoying, but they knew that in the movie. And that's why he's only in it for like 17 minutes. Whereas this movie, it's like Beetlejuice turned up another notch. Plus, he's in like the entire fucking movie. And at first, I was like, this is too much. Then I kind of got used to it. By the end, I kind of liked Maurice.
He becomes endearing.
Oddly endearing. Yeah. And I was as surprised as anyone to find out. Because like I said, when I was like 15 minutes into this film, I was kind of like, Rob, you motherfucker. I'm going to have to sit through this fucker for the next like hour and a half.
And right at the end, and we'll go straight to the end, when the perfect choice of fucking song, the Talking Heads, comes on.
That was one of the weirdest needle drops ever. I mean, retrospectively, it is actually a really cool and like needle drop. When it came up, I was like, what the fuck is going on? I couldn't believe that song.
It was great. And like Maurice is like saying goodbye to his friend. The only thing I wanted to happen was him to fucking pull the hanging horn off his head. It was on by a thread. Just pull it off.
Bothered me.
Yeah, but no, the thing that disturbed me a little bit more as an adult is knowing that Howie Mandel was 34 when he did this.
I don't find that nearly as disturbing as
Daniel Stern being 32.
I'm not sure if he was 31 or 32 when he was filming it. the fact say he was 32, the fact that he was 12 years younger than I am now when he filmed this makes me want to just jump the fuck out of a window. It's just like, oh my God. I mean, the Maurice thing, I can kind of get over because of the makeup and everything else. So it's kind of nebulous.
Yeah.
Whereas Ian Stern in this film just looking like a fucking middle-aged dude. And me thinking, my God, he's like considerably younger than I am now. I find horrendously depressing.
Did you recognize, because it took me a minute, did you recognize Rachel Phelps as well?
Oh, from Major League, 100%.
It took me a minute to go, who the fuck is that? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, fuck me, it's Rachel Phelps.
It totally took me a minute. It was one of those, like, what the fuck is she from? Like, I know her face. And you know when you're just like, I'm watching the movie and I'm just like, I'm not looking at her. I should be able to get it in, and it just popped. I was like, oh yeah, of course, she's from Major League. But there was a lot of, like, am I the only person who didn't know that Ben Savage was Fred Savage's brother?
I think so,
I'm just like, I was like, wait, they're brothers in the film, but they're brothers in real life. And then I found out their sister, Carla Savage, is one of the Little Monsters. And I have an issue with the name, actually, Little Monsters. There are some little monsters, but considering that the main monster is about 6'2", he's not very little. And then Snick is fucking ginormous. Most of the monsters aren't little. It's a weird title for a weird film.
It is. I have no idea where the naming came from of the film. Like you said, it's very
odd. Called Monsters.
Nightbreed was already taken by Clive Barker, so
it is incredibly Nightbreed, like you said. Although it's not just Nightbreed. I mean, we mentioned Beetlejuice because of the character, obviously, but there's more than a hint of Monsters Inc. There's no way that Pixar didn't look at this film. There are definitely elements of Toy Story with the whole, you shine lights on him and he disappears. And Monsters Inc., with them like coming in through the door, obviously in this film, they come out from under the bed rather than through a door. The only difference is, of course, in Monsters Inc., they have a purpose for scaring kids. In this movie, is it just for the love of the game?
That's what I wanted to ask you. Are there rules? Now, we'll get into...
I think so.
We'll get into rules. Sorry, we'll get into rules later. Mm-hmm. Do they have a purpose? Like you said, or is it just for the love of the game?
I think it's just the love of the game.
I think the original purpose... Well, no, I don't even know. Was it an accident? Because Snick is like, boy wants him, so it's hinted at that all monsters were kids who stayed in the monster land until after dark, and they became a monster.
Yeah, so there's a certain chicken and egg argument there, but sure, we'll allow it. Yeah.
But is that all their job is? To keep scaring ones until they find a kid they like or is like them, so they bring them down?
Well, that's the thing. By the end, it's like, so throughout the film, there's this hint that Maurice is trying to, like, basically, kind of convince Fred Savage to come and live as a monster on the ground.
Boy's orders.
Yeah, but that's the thing. For most of the film, I'm just like, oh, Maurice just wants a friend. But in the end, you're like, oh, well, Boy wants him. And then at the end, Jesus Christ, Boy, like, make no mistake, Boy he's wearing the skin of a child's face.
Yes, which is fucking. He looks odd anyway.
Silence of the Lamb shit. The more you think of it, it's fucking mental.
He looks odd anyway when you just see his face, but when the camera pans to the back of his head and it's haphazardly stitched together at the back, like you say,
his hands look like they're kind of stitched on. I think he's just wearing. It's like Ager in Men in Black. He's wearing a fucking bodysuit, only it just happens to be like a kid's face. I don't know, all very disturbing. But I never quite got why Boy wanted Fred Savage as his like little buddy down there, just because he's like, I don't know, he shows some ingenuity.
I think because he's new and he's fun. Boy's probably used the rest of them up and sent them on their way to get new.
Sure,
I'm giving this film more credit than it deserves.
No.
But
I think there's like interesting ideas there, and I've heard some people suggest there's deeper meanings to this film. In regards to like loss of innocence, dealing with bullying, dealing with elements of like coming from a broken home. I don't think it comes through in the movie. I think there's like the slightest lip service to these things. I don't think it comes through. There is a suggestion this is the movie you're going to get from the very start. So I was expecting, coming into this film, I've never seen before. I'm fully aware of the poster, the 90s style monster. I know it's 89, but it's got that 90s aesthetic. It's Fred Savage. I'm like, it's going to be extreme. And then the opening credits start, and I'm like, this looks like a fucking Czech New Wave movie. And then the opening shot is in black and white. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, tonally, this film never quite decides what it wants to be. Does it want to be terrifying? Does it want to be a fun kids movie? Does it want to be thoughtful and meaningful? It never quite lands the plane in any regard, other than maybe scaring the shit out of young kids. It's a mess of a movie, but the more I watched it, the more I enjoyed it. I can see why it's become a cult movie, but I can also see why it was largely slated when it first came out.
I totally see both ways as well. Like I said,
Yeah, totally.
I've already used the word, but it does become endearing as the film goes on. Talking about,
Absolutely.
you said about bullying and things like that. Devin Ratray plays Ronnie Coleman, the bully who drinks the piss.
Otherwise known as Buzz.
Otherwise known as Buzz. And I wanted to ask that, what the fuck happened? Because he's got a mullet that I could have sworn he was ginger in this film, which isn't a problem. But then he becomes, a year later, he's Buzz. He's grown 6 foot, has a buzz cut. Yep. And he just, like, his face is filled out as well in a year. Like, what the fuck?
Yes, but also he is recognizably still Buzz.
Oh,
but
he's recognizably still Buzz.
The thing that kind of stands out with me is, I mean, the director, Richard Allen Greenberg, who's most famous for doing, like, VFX work and stuff like that. Yeah. He must love baseball, because baseball is just kind of scattergun throughout this entire movie. That, and he clearly loves Boston, because, right, it makes sense that Fred Savage would wear like a Boston Red Sox cap, and obviously his dad is into the Red Sox, he's wearing the cap, blah blah blah. Because I'm not sure if it's ever made abundantly clear in the movie, but they probably moved from Boston to where is it? It's North Carolina.
Yeah.
But then Buzz, he's also totally geared out. He's either wearing a Boston Red Sox cap, or later on in the movie, he's got the full Boston Celtics getup, like the cap. I'm like, dude, you're from North Carolina, like. This is Atlanta Braves kind of territory. I just assume he's just like, fuck it. I love the Red Sox. I love Boston. It's all going in the movie. I don't care if it's set in North Carolina. Balls to you all. There's just going to be loads and loads of baseball.
It's like nobody's going to notice because of all the monsters. I like how you gave her a bit too much credit, enough credit when you said maybe it was explained and I missed it about like, did they move from Boston? The fact that I missed, and I know you missed it as well because we had the text conversation about Daniel Stern as Glenn moving out.
Like when they suddenly like split up / almost divorce. Comes out of fucking nowhere. Comes out of nowhere.
That's what I mean. So like,
how's going on?
Did that go on the cutting room floor? Because the only reason I realize it is when they're on the phone call at the end and they're going, "Oh, tell him I'm here. Like I've come back home." Like what? Where the fuck did you go?
I kind of look back and I was like, I guess there's a few bits like when the wife is the wife. That's a bit harsh. When Holly, when Holly's like doing the painting and he's watching the sport. In fairness, I think he said at the time he needs the remote because the Red Sox, the Masters, and the Celtics are all on at the same time. I'm like, that's a pretty good excuse to watch the TV. I'm like, if they're all playing at the same time, that's a pretty good sports day. So I was like, oh, it was just like a little joke. He's watching all the sports. She's doing a bit of painting. No, that's grounds for divorce, apparently. It feels like it fell out of the fucking sky. Some people might suggest that there were signs that Glenn was like a bit stressed out, and that's why he was having this kind of tumultuous relationship with his son because of what was going on in his marriage. I don't think it came through at all. No, when they suddenly said we're splitting up, I was like, wait, what the fuck's going on?
I think I put too much thought into this film as well. Again, gave this film too much credit. The reason why they had to move was because I'm guessing Glenn lost his job, and that could be the cause of arguments and things like that. Now they've had to move elsewhere because he's
got a new job somewhere.
Yeah, that's the only thing. That, like I said, I was giving it too much more credit than it. Can we actually go to Brian and spend some time on Brian? I want to bring up 2 points for Brian. I want to talk about his MacGyverisms because apparently the guy's a fucking genius. And they even mentioned in the movie, why can't you pass science? Because this fucking kid is like a genius. And
he's also just cutting up furniture, which I'm not sure would be cool at all, but sure.
Is he a genius because he commits food crimes? The only other food crime I can think of in film is Never-Ending Story, where they made a breakfast to beat any other breakfast, and they had some orange juice and walked away.
Yeah, I mean, that's just...
Oh, no, and it was the blender, wasn't it? He blended all shit in,
Yeah, I mean, that was like a classic thing of like American TV and American movies growing up, is that the mum would come down, she'd make this unbelievable breakfast on like a fucking Tuesday when everyone was going to school and work. People would come down, they'd take like one piece of toast. Like, oh, I've got to go to school, mum. Like, what the fuck, dude? There's like $72 worth of food on that table, and you're having a piece of toast. And it's like, who makes that on a goddamn... Just have some cereal. But yeah, I mean, there are a few things... actually, one of the other like food crimes actually happens in this movie. Something that happens a lot more often and seems to be exclusive to America is having milk with dinner. Now, if you're one of our American listeners and you think that's normal, I've got news for you. It's not fucking normal.
It ain't.
Having milk with dinner is fucking ludicrous. It's insane. Which Savage does in this film. There's a sequence just before he's going to like go up and try and trap the monster. He eats dinner like a sociopath. He just kind of nibbles things, throws it about, drinks milk. And I'm just like, everything about that upset me. But when I saw the onion and peanut butter sandwich, I was like, wait a minute. Am I having a stroke, or this can't be normal, right? This can't be normal. It's not, is it? Please tell me it's not normal.
I don't think it is.
And it was so much onion.
That's what I wanted to say. Onion. I mean, I would have forgiven it if he would have sliced the onion thin, or if he would have, I don't know, like diced it or something like that and sprinkled it in the peanut butter. But the fact he just made the fattest onion rings in the fuck, like he basically cut an onion in half. And then
just put in a sandwich.
The audacity to turn around to his mum and go, well, how do you know it was me? Whatever psycho in the fucking world is going to eat a peanut butter and onion sandwich?
Well, everything about that was weird. So he's basically created his own alarm clock. And this is before he's like a mini MacGyver. So I'm watching it. I'm just like, wait, is he created his own weird alarm clock just to wake him up on the sneak? So he does that. He then sneaks downstairs at a time he could have easily been caught, makes a sandwich, and then comes back up and then just watches the TV on full volume. I'm just like, dude, everyone's going to know. It was just completely unnecessary. Obviously, it was just to let us know that he's, I don't know, fucking handsy and, he's kind of imaginative. But the whole sequence just felt so forced. And I don't know what they were thinking with the whole onion sandwich. Is it like to make him sound eccentric?
I think it was just to make him quirky, yeah.
Well, the problem is with this film, one of my major issues is that even though I warmed to Maurice eventually, I don't think I actually like Fred Savage. I think that's one of my major problems. Like, if you watch him in this, he's coming off the Wonder Years. He's been in The Princess Bride. He's done The Wizard around the same time. And you think, what is why isn't he like the next big shit? Why isn't he the next movie star? And obviously he made movies which didn't make a ton of money. But I think part of it is just like, unlike Michael J. Fox, as soon as you see him, he's super likable. I just don't think Fred Savage is likable in this movie at all.
That's what I double down on that and ask, has he ever been likable?
Yeah,
I don't really like him in The Princess Bride. I think he's an arrogant little shit. It's his granddad.
It's the arrogance.
Yeah. It's his granddad that is endearing in that film. I've used that word a lot. Like, I must have been on my
granddad in The Princess Bride is pulling all the weight in that sequence. Columbo is running shit in that sequence.
The Wizard, he's a bit of a prick in The Wizard, They take him more than the girlfriend in that because she's pushy as fuck and she pushes her way into everything for the Wizard. But
I mean, don't be wrong. I'm kind of like, we're going to have to do the Wizard.
We got to do the Wizard. Only for whoever chooses that film is going to go the Power Glove. It's so bad.
The Power Glove was the worst. But and I think that movie, like even when I was younger, I was fully aware that it was kind of rubbish, and I didn't particularly like Fred Savage, but I still kind of want to go back and revisit it. But yeah,
Christian Slater was in that fucking film.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's a weird film. But yeah, Fred Savage watching this film, I find him quite annoying. There was a massive issue, and the director should have jumped on this, when he takes Fred Savage down into the monster world. And of course, Fred Savage is not surprised by any of this. Like, he's initially vindictive. He's just found a monster, that monsters exist. He doesn't seem to be at all shocked. And then when Maurice is, as far as he's concerned, dying in the light, he's just like, well, you fuck with my bike. And he just lets him die. I'm just like, dude, what a little prick. He goes down to the monster world, again, not surprised by anything he sees. And then he then like tries to match Maurice's energy on screen. And for like 15 minutes, this film was just like, it was too much. I was just like, they've got to turn the fucking volume down on this film because everyone is just turned up to 11. And I found it incredibly annoying, especially Fred Savage, sadly.
Yeah. You mentioned his brother as well, Ben Savage, who you didn't know was his brother.
Boy Meets World, Ben.
Boy Meets World. He played Eric in this film, which is the actual brother of Brian. And you mentioned the sister played a little monster, but Eric actually played a monster as well. I don't know if you noticed it.
I did not.
But when they were doing the baseball scene, it's clearly Ben Savage. They've just monstered him up. And I wondered if there was some sort of, again, a cutting room floor thing or something like that. But I think it was just his sister was a monster and he wanted to be a monster. Maybe cost cutting.
Maybe it was.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we said earlier about like, the fact that they were clearly trying to cut corners, and this is a 89 movie. It's like before HD, you would have never noticed. It's like a lot of those sins would have been washed away by standard definition. Whereas nowadays, you're like, wait, is that the kid? But yeah, there are for the most part, there aren't like a huge number of signs like you're watching a movie from 89, other than maybe a few awesome, dare I say, fashion choices where. Whatever I might say about Fred Savage, he's got that dope-ass Casio calculator watch. Absolutely adore that watch. And I'm pretty sure he's wearing a pair of Jordan 4s, which is very cool. But other than that, the movie's relatively timeless. I can imagine if you made it today, it wouldn't have to be hugely different. I don't know if like the internet or anything else would really fundamentally change things. Kids will always be afraid of monsters under the bed. I'm not sure if Maurice would be quite so quote-unquote extreme, but that was a calling card of late 80s, early 90s culture. Everything had to be quite extreme.
The thing they won't do as well if they made it today, and we could talk more about this in remakes and sequels, but is the fact that Maurice won't be as grotesque in a way. He would just be they double down on him being annoying, goofy, things like that. But you wouldn't.
Yeah, like you said earlier, when this film gets gross, it occasionally gets super gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just I don't know, like you watch this film, and like I said, for the most part, you're just like, it could be any year, and then all of a sudden you see like the old school teacher who just grabs Fred Savage, like it's his first day in school, and he just grabs him by the face, just like that's not flying in 2026. Imagine if you came into school like to pick up your kid, and the headmaster like dragged your kid out by his face. You'd be like, I might have to beat the shit out of that guy. It's just not cricket.
I'm going to ask, right, because we were talking about the film and the reception it received. So I'm going to, because we never really mentioned budget or anything like that unless they're box office hits. But I'm going to bring budgets into most of these films from now on because I found a tool. What do you think the production budget was?
Like 5 million, 6 million, something
close, 7 mil.
Okay, yeah.
What do you think the box office was?
Well, this is an interesting one. I do know the answer to this. So it's $800,000, but a big part of that was because of its limited release due to the bankruptcy of the production company Vestron Pictures.
Yeah. So 793,800 approximately is okay. So round up to 800,000. That's fine. I wonder as well, did a lot of that budget go on the Monster Rap call us line where you could win a trip to Hawaii?
Yeah, that's going to sound absolutely mental to anyone listening to this. There is a video they used to advertise this where it was basically call this number and win little monster-related prizes. And it is one of the cringiest, most utterly late 80s, early 90s videos you will ever see in your life. We'll put up on the social media after we post this podcast. You have to watch it. Simply put, they like one of the prizes is a trip to Hawaii. I'm just like, dude, there's no way anyone won a trip to Hawaii. All I could think of was somebody on a beach with Whitman, Price, and Haddad, from Running Man, and they're all just dead.
I mean, keep it today. Like I always think, does anyone actually ever win the big prizes in like McDonald's Monopoly? The McDonald's Monopoly thing. Sure. Nobody's winning any of them. I tell you what,
though, man, I've been like, they released like double Big Macs recently, and they come with these like playing cards. Every time I've got one recently, I don't know why we're going through a bit of a McDonald's phase. It happens every few years. Like we won't have McDonald's for like 8 months, and then all of a sudden we'll have like 3 McDonald's in 3 weeks. They give you these cards, and every time we win like a few things. So it's like every time I go back to order something, I'm getting like, I had free chicken McNuggets, a free milkshake, and of all things, it was actually, I was genuinely excited about this, a free Filet-O-Fish. Like wow. I've never had a Filet-O-Fish in my life. I was just like, well, this is the excuse. I have to have it because we won a Filet-O-Fish. They're quite nice. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm never ordering one over a Big Mac, but it was a fine excuse to try one.
So I used to work in McDonald's, so we did.
Of course,
we did. We didn't. Filet-O-Fish was the ones that we wouldn't cook the most, as you can imagine. But then when we were over at Dave's house, a bunch of us get together, should we have a McDonald's? My wife would say, can I have a Fillet-O-Fish? Everyone, for some reason, would treat her like the red-headed stepchild. They're like, what the fuck are you ordering that for?
Honestly, if someone orders a Fillet-O-Fish, it's like the same as someone telling me they don't like chocolate. I just immediately don't trust them. I'm like, wait, of all the things on the McDonald's menu, you can order a Fillet-O-Fish? Like I said, I had one. It was fine. I would just treat anyone with suspicion if they ordered one out of free will. But anyway, I just want to mention, because we mentioned the Vestron collection. I'm not sure if we want to do the other movies because obviously they went under, but I think Lionsgate bought out their back catalogue. And a couple of years ago, they released the Vestron collection of like Blu-ray updates. And this was one of them, alongside, I think it's Shivers by David Cronenberg. I've never actually seen that film because I think it's from like 1976. But one of the other ones, a film I've not seen, and I really feel like it's only a matter of time before we cover it on the podcast, is Maximum Overdrive.
Ah, yeah. Well,
Have you
directed by Stephen King. I have seen it.
Yeah. I like it because we're massive Stephen King fans, and I know the famous story. He was just off his tits on cocaine when he directed it. I'm like, I kind of need to see it, even though I suspect it's going to be complete ass.
Well, we did the Wraith, didn't we? That's part of the Vestron collection. Did you not want to do Chud 2, Bud the Chud?
I don't even want to say Chud 2, Bud the Chud. I find that all very upsetting, to be honest. I've not even heard of Chud 2, Bud the Chud. And now I can't stop saying Chud 2,
Bud the Chud, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And fucking hell. Oh, actually, speaking of that collection, Earth Girls Are Easy.
Okay, yeah, I'd be more inclined to. Although saying that, I watched that when I was younger. I actually thought it was rubbish.
Oh, it's not a good film.
No, it's not.
It is not a good film. And it's mad to know that like there was a film from the 80s that had Jim Carrey, Jeff Goldblum, and Damon Wayans.
Yeah, it's pretty mental. They're just all very annoying from what I remember.
Yeah.
But
and Gina Davis. Sorry, Gina Davis.
Oh, Gina Davis. Yeah,
she was the Earth Girl.
Yeah, she was the Earth Girl, and she was supposedly easy. I just want to mention, it just popped into my head. Did you notice when Maurice shows up the first time? Maurice, yeah. He shows up at 5:30 in the morning. I was like, imagine if Maurice showed up at 5:30 in the morning at your house. You'd be up to fucking greet the motherfucker. Yeah. I was just like, 5:30. I was like, and they talk about it like it's the middle of the night. I'm pretty sure Daniel Stern comes in and says, good night. I'm like, good night. It's 5:30. I'm out of bed. I might as well just, like, I get up at like 6:15. You send me messages sometimes like, oh, the podcast is posted. I look at my phone. I was like, he sent that at like 4:30 in the morning. This fucking lunatic. And I'm sure you're not still up from the night before. So yeah, these monsters would just run the fuck into you. You'd be like, hey, what the fuck? What's going on here? Yeah. Why are you in my son's room?
You're right, because it's pitch black. Right? Yeah. He's fighting him. Dad turns the light on. He becomes a pile of clothes. Dad turns the light on.
Wait. And just be clear, a pile of man's clothes.
Yeah.
Which never gets questioned.
No, the dad doesn't ask.
Whose fucking man's clothes are those on the floor?
Why are you dry humping man's clothes? Because you sat on top of him and you're grinding onto him. That turns the light back off. He comes back, and then all of a sudden the sun comes through the window. It's like, you've got to help. Like, how? What? So buy the fucker a watch. Why are you coming through at 5:30?
I know this movie makes a lot of strange choices. One of my favorite strange choices actually is Fred Savage's bedroom. I'm not sure if you noticed the movie poster on the wall.
Yeah, License to Drive.
Like, he is surely the only person on planet Earth who had a license to fucking drive poster. Who else had that goddamn poster? Listen, I liked License to Drive just fine when I was younger. At no point was just like, I want the poster on my wall. Give me a fucking break. Absolutely mental. But then I have to ask, what did you feel about the actual under the bed world? So they kind of build it up and it's all supposed to be whimsical. I think they added those kind of whimsical like dashes of light because they were just like, this actually looks pretty boring. It looks somewhere between, actually, again, Monsters, Inc. a little bit with all the doors and like the locations and stuff. Cross with, dare I say, Super Mario Brothers, the movie. And I don't mean the fucking new one. I mean the ugly ass live action one from like 1993 or 1992, whatever the hell it was.
They had to do as best as they could, because I'm pretty sure it was a concrete factory that they filmed
fair
in.
enough. Well, they did a good job of covering that up.
Yeah, I got it in fact somewhere. It was a concrete factory or something like that. But but yeah, it was really odd. The whole rule about you can go to any bed in the world, anything that becomes a bed, as we've established, because they got out like a camping bed at the end of the film. But are they running the entire, like, the underworld of the United States? It feels like, because...
Well, that's what I mean, because, right, one of the questions I had was, if they're just covering the United States, the ending kind of makes sense. You know, the whole, like, they show up in, because they're basically running against time. So they're running backwards in time because they're running through different time zones. Not actually running back through in time, just running through different time zones. But if they had access to the entire world rather than just America, no kid would ever get stuck down there because there would always be a door where it's night, where it's light. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, it's nighttime in America. Well, just jump out in fucking Auckland, New Zealand. You'll be fine. It'll be light there. So, the premise only actually works if it is just America. But then, if it's just America, why the fuck is it only America? So it's kind of strange, I guess.
It's mad because they've killed Boy. You know, they've got through. So why are they upset that they're in, what were they, Florida or wherever they were at the end?
They're in Florida, yeah. No, California.
California.
Outside the country.
Yeah, sorry, my geography, America, I get lost with. But why are they that upset? And now, can you come and get us? All they got to do is wait a couple of hours for it to turn dark, go back into the monster world, go back home and come out for the bed.
You say that though, they are just kids and their parents are worried about them and they're just like, oh, we're just going to cut about all day in California.
I'm not saying don't ring your parents up, but the parents need to try and arrange to get you home now. It's going to take longer than if you wait around and just jump back under a bed.
Also, how did they explain? Well, that was one, before, obviously, because I hadn't seen this film, I was like, oh, imagine this film if Fred Savage goes on that kind of first adventure with Maurice where they start going around to kids' houses and basically fucking with them. And I quite like that premise, this idea that they're basically just fucking with kids, so they're getting them in trouble with their parents. I like that montage when all the kids wake up in the morning and they're all being told off for random things that obviously monsters have done. But I was just like, oh, what happens if Fred Savage got caught by one of the parents, but it was in, the end of the film is in California. And then they've got to explain to the mum and dad, they're just like, oh, your son's in California. Just like, wait a minute, I just saw him. That's a 5-hour flight away across the other side of the country. And everyone just starts freaking the fuck out. The end of the movie would kind of have to deal with that. The parents would be like, this isn't round the corner. It's like one of your kids suddenly sending you, you said you put your kid to bed, yeah? And then 4 hours later, he phones you up and says, oh, Dad, you have to pick me up. Oh, where from? Georgia. Not Georgia the state, Georgia the country. And you're like, what, the other side of Europe, basically the Middle East? Yeah. Well, what the fuck's going on here? But they have no interest in dealing with such complex issues.
That's right, the end, because nothing good will come after the credits roll from that. You have to explain, if you explain the truth that there's monsters living under the beds, and we managed to get in there, but then we would have turned into a monster if the sun rose, so we had to get all the way to California and beat the sunrise, fine. Okay,
fine, sure. Yeah.
You're all being submitted for mental health. You're going to a fucking institute because you're having some mass hallucination. Hallucination.
Between that and the sandwich, I'm just like, I'd put him for adoption. I'd put this motherfucker up for adoption.
Or they lie and they say, what, the fucking Ben Savage was kidnapped and we've come here to rescue him. But so you've been possibly sexually abused.
Yeah, there's just no two ways. There's no easy way of getting out of this.
No.
They're in they make it look fun because they all run down to the beach at the end. But you're just like, this is a weird ending, which is made all the weirder by their house phone. I'm not sure if you noticed their house when he calls mum and dad on the phone. They've got a wall-mounted house phone. It's the 80s. That's absolutely fine. The buttons are ginormous. I've just never seen such a mental phone in all my life. So don't get me wrong, there are loads of mental things in this film. I don't know why the phone caught my eye. This feels like a very wrong thing. But
I've seen buttons that big, Bruce, usually for visually impaired people.
That's the kind of vibe. But this is the kind of film where, Fred Savage and a monster just roll up on his would-be girlfriend while she's sleeping and they just kind of hang around. It's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
It's creepy as fuck.
Watching people sleep, replacing a kid's apple juice with piss is...
It's kind of, it's extreme. Doing the cat food thing, you're like, oh yeah, that's a proper prank. When he just pisses in his apple juice, you're like, Jesus Christ, that's abusive.
And Howie Mandel, when he's drinking the apple juice first and he's burping as he's drinking it. And I just, dude, you're a lot to take at the moment.
Yeah, that was the part of the film where I was like, this is all a bit too much. I do actually think, and maybe he's just not on screen so much, is when they use him more sparingly, he's more endearing. But yeah, early in the film, when you're just you spend that it feels like 20 odd minutes when he's just there the whole time. I'm just like, guys, man, it's fucking too much. Like I said, I was genuinely surprised I was won over by the end. but it was tough going there for a while.
Yeah.
And it seems odd because the end feels so rushed. Like I said, like basically an hour in, suddenly Snick shows up and he's gross and horrible. I'm like, oh, he's the bad guy. And then 10 minutes later, you get the boy, and I'm just like, I don't even know what Snick's relationship is with the boy. I don't know why the boy is so magical. Why he's got like all of a sudden there are fucking tanks and planes and like floor raisers, and I'm just like, all right, that's all kind of cool. I don't know why any of it's happening.
Felt like as well. Do you remember the film Toys with Robin Williams?
Absolutely, just a really dark. Again, basically everything is. Imagine that film crossed with Nightbreed.
Which is insane because this film came before all of them. So everyone's just looking like, what inspiration do you have for this film? Do you remember that film Little Monsters? Yeah, I want to do that, but worse. You can't make it worse than Little Monsters. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they have moments of like levity. So they have like their weird, like, when he takes him down initially and they try and sell you on the idea, it's like, oh, there's no rules here. You can play pinball and there's no tilt. I'm like, wow, this place really is next fucking level. And there's also like basic bitch, like McDonald's hamburgers, not like Big Macs, just like the basic ones with no sauce. You can have a hamburger dry and you can play pinball without tilt. I'm just like, dude, I'm not sure this place is quite as awesome as you're making out of, truth be told. But again, I think that's the limited budget talking there.
It felt like a cross between the imagination of Robin Williams in Hook when he gets that food and the Shredder's lair in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990s.
That's exactly what I thought of. Was like it felt like a really shit version of Shredder's lair from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like when we redid that for the podcast, you go back and see it. That is a proper 90s lair with like the arcade machines and everything. You're just like, dude, I get it. I'd want to be a fucking foot soldier too. I see this, I'm like, I don't want to be a monster. I'm like, I wouldn't mind visiting for like a day, but once I've had the burgers and I've played pinball without tilt, I'm just like, all right, I guess that's it. Oh, they played baseball once, which is kind of fun. But then 2 minutes later, he's going towards Snick's lair. And let's be clear, like there's basically a foul ball. He goes chasing after the ball. He sees angels with like dolls' heads on it. Yep. I'm like, all right, that's going to be the most fucking terrifying thing I've ever seen. He's like, yeah, I'll go up these stairs. Dude, what are you doing, Fred Savage? What the fuck? Just turn around and go back to the game.
And again, like this film gave inspiration. You've got the weird baseball thing, the fly ball. That's fucking Hook. The food. That's Hook. This film has given inspiration to everything. I think Toy Story took from this. I think Monsters Inc. took from this. I think did Nightbreed come after this? Nightbreed came after this, yeah. I think that
I think this film is like one of those odd films where a lot of people have seen it. There's loads of good ideas. There's just too much of everything.
Nightbreed was the year after. Nightbreed was in 1990. Now, it is based on Clive Barker's 1988 novel, Cabela.
Okay. Yeah. So I just think they've just taken bits. That's all. It's like, so basically they've looked at this and they're like, oh, this is a kid's film. And then they've watched the sequence with like the scary monster montage where they're all trying to terrify a fucking baby in a crib. Yeah. And they're just like, wow, we could turn this into a horror movie. It's borderline a horror movie in that sequence because those little bastards, because those are the little monsters in those sequences. Like I said, the problem is too many of them are big, but some of them are just little bastards. They are pretty gross. They are pretty gross. And they're all trying to scare a newborn baby. I was just like, holy shit, they are going for it.
You have to ask, Brian was, when the sunlight was hitting him, he was disappearing.
Yeah.
So, but was he becoming, like, was he going to be himself a monster? And then over time, because Maurice is like a couple of 100 years old, apparently. Yeah. So over time, do you evolve into something? Does he become the blue demon from fucking Swamp Thing?
Well, I was like, because some of the rules didn't make sense. So all of a sudden he starts disappearing. At one point he's like, I'm getting shorter. I'm like, why the fuck are you getting shorter? I get why you might start disappearing. I couldn't understand why. I was like, so do you become like genuinely a little monster? And then if you spend enough time there, you grow up and become just a monster?
I thought
the rules are inconsistent.
Especially, again, given this film more thought than the director and the writer gave it. Mm-hmm. But maybe Boy was turning them into the monsters that they became.
Maybe, but it feels like, again, maybe there are people who have watched this film a whole bunch of times and they're like, I could fucking explain this. Upon watching it once, it's not easy to get your head around at all.
Dude, I've watched it more than once. I can't tell you.
And it doesn't feel confusing. It just feels like I haven't been told.
Yeah.
And it's odd then because like you said, this film suddenly gets like really dark, and then all of a sudden, about an hour in, they just, and I think it's after the whole Snick sequence, they're like, oh, maybe we should try and make this fun. And throughout the film, they try and, I guess, to kind of push back against the inherent darkness of the narrative and the visuals, you have this amazing but somewhat poorly placed score by David Newman. Like, when I was watching this film, I was like, why does this sound so familiar? I was like, and about halfway through, I was like, oh yeah, it sounds like Bill and Ted. It sounds like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. It's because David Newman did the score for Bill and Ted Bogus Journey. He did it for Phantom, which we've done on this podcast recently, Galaxy Quest, Serenity, Bowfinger. That's a movie we got to do on this podcast. And that's why it sounds so familiar. And it's, in and of itself, it's actually a fantastic score, but it matches the whimsical elements of this film. But then other parts of this film, as we've already mentioned, are really dark, but the score remains whimsical. So it's just like, it's almost this kind of like tonal inconsistency. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the term in video games when someone's like really nice, like Nathan Drake, but he cognitive dissonance. That's the term, where he murders everyone, but we're just like, oh, he's a nice guy. How many people has he killed today? Oh yeah, 722. Yeah, this film creates a kind of sonic cognitive dissonance as I'm watching the film, where it's really dark, but the soundtrack remains whimsical. But and even to bring it back to Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, I mentioned the fact that it looked a little bit like Mario. I actually thought at times it reminded me of Hell from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Same color palette and everything.
Probably the same fucking concrete warehouse.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
I need the parents as well. Rachel Phelps and Marv.
Ollie and Glenn.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, because I'm just calling them their other character names. Were they too aggressively oblivious? Like, did they make him go totally the other way? Were they just... Brian's cutting furniture off, legs off furniture. Nobody's questioning it. He's setting up these MacGyver traps. Nobody's questioning it. He's banging shit in the middle of the night. Nobody's questioning it. I go to check on my kid in the middle of the night. There's nobody checked on their kid and wonder why he's disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would probably use the excuse, oh, they're having marital problems in their heads or elsewhere. But yeah, I do think it's bizarre. And, you know, again, they kind of hint at the start that this is the kind of shit he does. Like, you know, with his alarm clock, he already has this bizarre setup in his room. So if they walk in and he's got all this MacGyver shit, they're just like, okay, this is just kind of the stuff he does. But everything's poorly explained. It's the same as Fred Savage's, I'm Brian, it is Brian, isn't it?
Right,
his relationship with Kirsten. I mean, I mentioned the fact that they kind of roll up on her. Is it his girlfriend? Is it not? At the end, he even says, like, he's like, oh, go up and be with the girlfriend. It's like, oh, we're just going to be friends. Has there been any suggestion that it's going to be one way or the other? They just kind of hang around together. There's zero relationship there. She's just another person in this film.
Yeah.
The same with Todd, who just keeps popping up because he's friends with
Eric.
Excuse me, with Eric. And I'm just like, do we need Todd to be here all the time? Who the fuck is Todd?
Why is Todd sleeping outside? Is he sleeping outside because there's no bed?
I don't know. Why is he? Yeah, and when he falls off the roof, I'm just like, dude, you could have easily broken your arm there.
So it looked like he was on some sort of treehouse platform, like no walls. He was just like some sort of like birds nesting, which is fine. But if he's sleeping outside because there's no bed, that doesn't make sense for the end of the film, where that guy is sleeping outside, but he's on a camp bed. So they were able to come out of the camp bed?
Yeah. Basically, any bed, then it's fair game.
But is anything a bed? When you're asleep, is it a bed? Because he
if
had
you're
a
laying on
sleeping
something,
bag.
apparently, a sleeping bag would count as a bed as far as I can tell.
So, is he sleeping outside because he's psychotic, or is he sleeping outside to avoid the monsters? Because
he doesn't know the rules. We have to assume.
But I'm pretty sure he does, because him and Eric are having these little conversations. That they convinced Brian to sleep in his room, didn't they? So there are these rules that they're sort of getting.
Yeah, but I guess even they don't know that like any bed is a bed. They still think of a bed as being a bed. So when Stick comes through, they never even considered the sofa bed as like a problem, some way to come through. So I think they just say, oh, as long as it's not like a traditional bed, we should be fine. But obviously these are sneaky motherfuckers, and they can come through anywhere.
So he was sleeping outside because he was afraid of the monsters.
Maybe, dude. The answer is fucking maybe. I do not know, and I'm not convinced anybody knows. Like, why is it when all of a sudden Fred Savage is like, oh, I've got to get the team together. I've got to get Todd and Kirsten together. Obviously, these two characters I have no interactions with, but this is going to be my team for the end of the movie. He does this thing where he needlessly jumps over the banister on the porch, but he doesn't jump over to land on his feet. He's just like side on. I was just like, he just jumped onto the floor. Like, it's such a weird visual. Like, it's a nothingy moment, but it's just like, that was mental. And yeah, of course, you have to assume that he's landed on what, Earth? It's very bizarre. But then the last 30 minutes, it's like the movie tries to catch up with the score and the tone that, maybe you're expecting going in to see a kid's movie. You're kind of struggling with it because the boy is on screen with his fucking boy face kind of like stapled to his skin. But they suddenly show up and they've got all this gear on with the lights and it's all kind of fun and silly. Buzz shows up. Again, he doesn't seem fussed, but he's just there, just helping out of fucking nowhere. And it turns into briefly a silly kids movie, albeit one with a kind of Hannibal Lecter character at the heart of it. It's strange until the very final shot.
Yep. Which the very final shot was a beautiful shot. Them running to the beach and everything just after they told their parents, "You need to come and get us." It's a well-directed movie. It's relatively well made. He didn't do anything else.
Who's that?
The guy that directed it.
Yeah. He didn't. Well, it's like you say, it's weird because I was trying to get my head around whether this is a hit or a flop. Because, like you say, if you look at the box office, you're like, well, it was a flop, but it only had a limited release because of the aforementioned production company going under. But this definitely turned into a cult movie. So I wonder if, in the long run, this movie probably made money with a budget of $8 million. I wouldn't be surprised from like VHS sales, TV rights, all those other things. I can imagine this film's in the black now.
I'm just asking now, has Little Monsters?
And while you're looking that up, did you notice who the boy was played by?
Yeah, Frank Whaley.
Yeah, Brad from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
It was driving me crazy. I was just like, God, he looks fucking familiar. I had to look it up. I was like, Brad, look at the big brain on Brad. Can't believe it.
Some sources list the budget. Nothing's going past 800,000 for this. Did home video save it? The number tracks does not show totals. Yeah, so nobody.
I couldn't find anything to confirm, but I suspect it probably just about made money in the end because, like you said, it's definitely a cult movie. I can see why people have an attachment to it and why people would go back to it because there's nothing like this now. We whether it be the Amblin movies or anything else, this is one of those movies that really pushes the limits of, I'm going to scare the shit out of kids. And like you said, it's interesting for you because you've got a kid, he's 7 years old. You're like, when we were 7 years old, we were definitely watching movies like this. This was the last of our fucking problems when I was 7. I was watching movies I definitely should have been seeing. But a movie like this, I don't think I would have batted my eyelids. Like it wouldn't have been a big deal watching this when I was 7 at all.
No.
Whereas now, if you're making the decision, am I going to let my 7-year-old watch this? You're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know.
It's funny because I was talking to one of the other parents. We were talking and we'd say, like, my kid is full into Star Wars at the moment. And he's watched the original trilogy and now so he's watched The Phantom Menace and we're moving on. And the other parent, whose kid is the same age as Riley, said, wasn't Riley scared? I was like, well, no. And she said, well, mine would be scared, and like a couple of the other parents. So I'm thinking, okay, am I a bad parent because I'm showing my kid this and he's fine with it?
I think you judge it.
But then I was thinking, no, it's fine. Because then I'm watching Little Monsters thinking, I don't think my kid will be scared, but he will it will impact his subconscious.
Well, it plays up on like a classic kid's fear, and it just feels like you're rolling the dice. Like, make no mistake, at the end of this film, like Sink gets burned alive. It's bizarre. Although saying that's the one scene from like a Star Wars film. As you were saying that, I was just like, wait, why would anyone be scared of Star Wars? The end of episode 3, when Anakin ostensibly gets turned into Darth Vader in the traditional sense, and he gets his fucking legs and his arm cut off, and he gets burnt in lava. You're like, that scene's actually pretty hardcore.
I'll let you know how it goes down. We haven't got there yet. We're watching
I'd be interested to see how he gets on with that
next, or whatever it's called.
Most of the film, like, I can't imagine much in those films is going to like freak him out, but the end of it is surprisingly violent when he gets taken out, ostensibly taken out by Obi-Wan Kenobi. But this film, like you said, like I've always said before, like my wife and I, we love horror films. We find different things like impactful in terms of what's scary. Like, I'll watch crap horror films, whatever. But for me, it's the stuff where it's like low key and it puts you in a position that you can almost relate to. That's why I always found Paranormal Activity so effective, because it's just in your house. It's just like, what if my wife just woke up and just stared at me for like 4 hours? I'm just like, fuck, that sounds mental. This is like that, but for kids, because it's set largely in like a bedroom, which looks familiar. It's just like, oh, dude, there might actually be monsters under the bed. Like, fuck, I'm not sure if I need this in my life right now. But
It's okay because well, I say it's not okay. You know it's not real when the beds are light as fuck. Even Fred
Mhm.
Savage was lifting those beds up with one arm. It just reminded me of all films Fast X, the last
that,
Fast
I
and
wasn't
Furious,
expecting that. Was not expecting that.
where Vin Diesel apparently is now superhuman because he was able to one arm lift a car
Of course.
whilst shooting a gun.
Well, like you say, it is one of those bizarre things. Like my wife and I, we had to like just turn the duvet, the what's the bottom bit? Not the duvet, the mattress. Jesus Christ! And it's like like I'm 6'6", I'm a pretty big guy, and it's just like doing it on my own. I was just like, God, I can't get my wife's help. This is a fucking pain in the ass. Whereas Fred Savage, was he like 10? He's just lifting a bed,
Yeah.
mattress, bed, the frame, everything. Is like, oh yeah, no problem at all. It's like Jesus Christ. He's like one of those dudes who does like removals or like deliveries, where
Yeah.
it'll just be some like little guy, he's like 5'6", and you notice he's carrying like a fucking sofa up like 6 flights of stairs on his own. So I don't even know how that works. It's absolutely insane. But that's the thing with this movie, why I think it's sneaky is, so when we were growing up, as you mentioned earlier, there's like a bunch of films where they're just like, we're going to scare the fuck out of kids. I think with Poltergeist, because it's called Poltergeist and it's about ghosts, everyone's just like, listen, we know this is going to be pretty hardcore. Like even when we were younger, that was one of those kind of like next level ones where it's just like, oh, you know, are you cool watching Poltergeist? Whereas this, you see the poster, it's got a stupid, funky ass monster on it. You're like, this is going to be loads of fun. And then kids watch it and they're fucking terrified because it's weird as balls.
I mean, I will get him to watch it, probably at an age where he shouldn't be watching it. But
What you mean? You mean 44?
yeah.
Because I should not be watching this film at 44, but here we are, sadly.
Did you cut the legs off your bed?
I will, yeah. I'm going to
Yeah.
go full Japanese. I'm just going to be sleeping on the deck. Anyway, should we move on? Because I think we've covered this film now.
Yeah, I think we're good to move on.
Rob's take. Dare I ask, do you have a Rob's take for this insane movie?
I don't. I have 3.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. The monster rules. I mean, sunlight kills them, or melts them, or turns them into puddles, or maybe just annoys them. The film changes its mind every 12 minutes with what the rules are for sunlight with these guys.
100%.
Yeah. The science cupboard is ridiculously kitted out. I couldn't get over that science cupboard. They managed to get into school in the middle of the night for all reasons. Like, I'm guessing, was there a bed in the middle of school that they could go through? But how were they breaking in? He's got the key. That's fine. There's too many batteries in that science cupboard. And
There's too many, like how they made those outfits at the end, which look iconic in their own weird way, and then are just one and done. Like they literally show up, they're on screen for 10 seconds, and they take them off and they're done. They create ostensibly a light rocket launcher.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, that's awesome. They made that out of stuff in like the stock cupboard in school. Sure. This is the film we're watching.
And the other thing, the last thing as well, a really beautiful moment. Talking Heads are playing, you know, Maurice and Brian are saying goodbye. You know, Maurice gives him his vest, his punk vest. And all I could think of at that moment was, dude, I hope you wash it. It's been with that guy for maybe 100 years.
I mean, at least he's wearing on the outside of his denim shirt.
I've still not seen a shower.
Yeah.
Or a washing machine.
I don't think monsters shower, in fairness.
Exactly.
I don't think they shower. Yes, good point. Favorite scene? I was going to say initially the boy showdown because it's so mental, but then I realized it's how disturbing I found it all. The answer for me really is the first appearance of Maurice. Like the closed puppetry, as I mentioned earlier, I think is really ingenious. I think if you try and do that with TG, it's not as effective. I like the Wizard of Oz nod. I like the fact that it goes really gross all of a sudden. Yeah. As I said, Maurice quickly becomes a little bit too much, but that opening introduction of Maurice in the bedroom when he tries to capture him is actually really cool. So I'll go with that for favorite scene.
No, that's a very good answer. I went the Monster World reveal. The moment Brian steps fully into the monster underworld is where the film goes from quirky kids comedy to full-blown fever dream. You know, the creatures that look like they escaped from Jim Henson's Nightmare or Nightbreed. I'm going to go back with that. Maurice bouncing around like he's powered by sherbet. It's chaotic, imaginative, and genuinely unsettling. The perfect encapsulation of what makes this film unforgettable. I got to be honest, when he went under the bed and there was like a whole world under there, it was not the movie I was expecting at all. No. I thought it was going to be, a monster shows up and plays shenanigans in kind of small town America. But I was like, oh, no, they go in full, like it's insane. Like the scale of it is actually pretty big. As you say,
the ambitions definitely run up against the budget, as you mentioned earlier, but but it is ambitious. It totally is ambitious. Oscar season, in which we hand out 3 Oscars and 3 Razzies in categories of our choosing. For me, the Oscar for surprisingly brilliant score goes to David Newman for the reasons I mentioned earlier. It doesn't always fit the movie, but it's never anything less than brilliant, if not somewhat overfamiliar. The Oscar for timeless clothing goes to Brian's Casio watch and what look like Jordan 4 trainers. I literally have both of those things right now, and it's 2026 and I'm 44. And the Oscar for surprising moments of genuine body horror goes to Little Monsters. We literally mentioned it just then, but there are like 5 or 6 sequences in this film where you're like, that is legitimately gross. And not just like, oh, this is gross for a kids movie. This is just gross. Yeah. There's just like I said, 5 or 6 things. Even if you take out the some of the tonal stuff, which is absolutely bonkers, on a purely aesthetic level, there are at least 5 or 6 things which would never make it into a kids movie in 2026. No fucking way.
For me, the Oscar for the best unhinged performance in a kids film goes to Howie Mandel as Maurice. I mean, he's doing stand-up, slapstick, improv, and psychological warfare simultaneously.
I think that's fair enough.
The Oscar for the best set that looks like a Nightbreed prequel goes to The Monster Underworld. I know it was filmed before Nightbreed, and honestly, it shows. These monsters absolutely grow up and move to Midian. I stand by it. I stand by it. And finally, the Oscar for the best use of practical effects to traumatize children goes to the makeup department. Stretchy faces, melting monsters, glowing eyes, pure nightmare fuel.
I just wonder how many people listen to this podcast are like, well, I'm going to have to look up fucking Nightbreed now. And by the way, we totally covered on the podcast, so you can listen to us talking about it as well. And even more than we have on this podcast.
And you're welcome.
You are welcome. I mean, that was another film I'd never seen before. I think I actually prefer this to Nightbreed. But I think that speaks more to Nightbreed than this. Yeah, anyway, the Razzie for weirdest title goes to Little Monsters. As I said, many of them are small, but the vast majority of them, to my eyes at least, appear to be rather large.
There's another title. Sorry to interrupt. There's another Little Monsters that I enjoy from 2019.
19, yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
I have not. No.
It's very good. Yeah. I mean, Little Monsters is a bunch of zombies. I don't know who the monsters are because you think the kids are going to become the zombies, but
yeah, I think it was one of those Sky original movies, maybe.
I believe so. I think it was filmed mainly in Australia. It was an Australian film, but it had Josh Gad. And I don't know her name. She's such a good actress. Yeah,
she's in. Is it Us? I think she's in.
Yeah,
I'm sure that was one of the big breakout roles.
Oh,
I forgot her name.
Yeah, hang on.
I don't want to say it.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah. Oh, she was in Star Wars as well.
Oh, was she?
She did the voice of the little weird fucker from The Force Awakens. You know, the one who's like she's like in love with Chewbacca. Where's that Wookiee? I like that Wookiee.
The one with the
goggles.
The short-sighted one.
Yeah.
I've
got the name of the character.
Yeah.
Maz
Kanata is it?
Yeah, thank you very much. So that was the Razzie for worst wig goes to Richter Common as Snick. I mentioned it earlier. I found that of all the things to find disturbing in this film, that was one of the most unintentionally disturbing sequences. It's like that bit when he's talking to the kid with like hands glued to his face, which is fucked anyway, and he keeps moving his head, but his wig is just, like I said, is attached to his neck, so it's just a head moving around inside the head. And yeah, it's just weird. It's just
what is it with 1989 and not being able to, I don't know, do costume department where you can move your neck? Fucking Batman, and now this. You know,
Batman really couldn't move his neck. Yeah. Although that went all the way through. People forget the Dark Knight. What's the first one? The Batman Begins. He couldn't move his neck in that one either. It was just like a Batman thing for a while. Remember, he changed his suit between Batman. He actually wears that same suit at the start of the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But then when he has a fight with a dog, he kind of he's like, I need to upgrade my suit. I need to be able to basically move my neck. Anyway, the Razzie for oddly unlikable child actor goes to Fred Savage as Brian. As I said, I just find him quite annoying in this film.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're just like, oh, why wasn't Fred Savage a bigger star? And I watch his film, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a bit unlikable.
Makes sense.
And I'm going to sneak in one last one. The Razzie for divorce that falls out of the fucking sky goes to, yes, what the hell's their actual name? We keep jumping back and forth between their real names and their characters' names. Just call them Frank and Glenn, yeah? No, it's not Frank and Glenn. Sorry, no, Glenn and Holly. Jesus Christ.
Frank and Glenn.
Frank and Glenn. This is a weirder film than you think. Sorry, Glenn and Holly. Yeah,
that leads perfectly into mine. So the Razzie for the worst parenting goes to Brian's parents.
Mhm.
Their child is clearly being hunted by monsters, and they're like, must be a phase.
Oh, classic Frank and Glenn.
The Razzie for the most disturbing food combination. The winner, the onion and peanut butter sandwich.
How didn't I have
It's a
that down?
culinary hate crime.
No, you're right. That is a massive oversight. I'm like, oh, it should be because his fucking head does move this way. It should be the onion. It should be the onion sandwich. Let alone the fact that it's in there with peanut butter. Yes, that should be.
What would have made that
bullets.
worse if it was on brown bread?
Yeah, that would have made it worse. Sandwich. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. 90% of sandwiches with brown bread are just slightly shitter.
Yeah,
They just are.
yeah. And the Razzie for the most terrifying monster in a kids' movie goes to Boy. He looks like a peeled grape wearing a wig. It's just unacceptable.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse. Is it worse when he's like just the boy, or when after he gets his face peeled off? I would suggest it's actually before he gets his face peeled off. It's more disturbing.
It's unsettling.
Because you know what it is? It's the implication of what it means makes it
especially
even
like I said
dark.
when it pans behind him and it's terribly stitched up and it's just basically he's skinned the kid.
Yeah, that's it. You just he's wearing somebody else's face. How horrendously disturbing. Any alternative titles for this film?
Yeah. Why am I never prepared for this? Because I always forget what fucking sections we're on. Argentina was Adorable Monsters.
Not really.
Philippines, Little Ghost Fighters.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Portugal, A Monster in My Room.
Yeah, that's okay.
Spain, Monster Boys.
Both of these are better than Little Monsters.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these will be better than Little Monsters.
That's it, dude.
Okay, well, yeah. Two of them were good and two of them were rubbish. Fair enough. Yeah. Any facts of this film?
Yeah, we've got a few. So, in a Dead Meat podcast, Howie Mandel said that he still owns Morrissey's whole outfit.
That is cool. I would like. Jokes aside, it'd be a cool thing to go for fancy dress. Yeah. I'm not sure if you just painted yourself vaguely purple and had the little awesome skeleton earring he's got. That's pretty dope.
In the scene where Daniel Stern is asking Fred Savage to get the monster's autograph, the tickling was improvised and Savage's reactions are genuine.
I mean, they do have chemistry on screen. Yeah. It's just like I said, they're a bit too much on screen together. That's all.
Because of a fire that destroyed the costumes and props, filming was pushed back by 2 weeks. Daniel Stern said in a rare, hard-to-find interview that he didn't like working on this movie and really didn't want to be there. I mean, it showed. Yeah. Right, so in multiple interviews, Howie Mandel said that Maurice was one of his least favourite characters to play. The makeup process really irritated him, and when the cement warehouse used for the Monster World scenes would get hot, he would be drenched in sweat when the latex was removed.
Sounds awesome. But that feels like a pretty common complaint when it comes to these kind of movies.
I love that. I'm going to read out this one just for the end, just in case you didn't know. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
After the movie, there was a Little Monster sweepstakes with an old school kids rap song as an infomercial. Brilliant. Dialing the number 1-989 Maurice resulted in the caller winning a variety of prizes. Prizes varied from small ones like copies of the movie, glow-in-the-dark shirts, and little standee cutouts of Brian and Maurice.
And magazines. Don't forget the magazines.
To bigger prizes, such as a signed photo of Fred Savage. That's a bigger prize.
Yeah.
The pinball machine Brian and Maurice played on in the Monster World, and a trip to Hawaii. Now, this is the only reason I wanted to read this. The sweepstakes is long over, as the number to call with is no longer available.
Oh, it's a shame. So there's no winning that trip to Hawaii, sadly. Yeah. But yes, really, watch that video.
Yeah.
Make sure you search that video. It's very easy to find, like Little Monster sweepstake or Little Monster 90s advert, something like that, and it is absolute gold.
Following the movie, there was a 6-issue Little Monster comic book series that was an unofficial sequel. While the contents inside were drawn, the issue covers were frames from the movie.
That's pretty cool.
After filming his scenes, Frank Whaley took the last plane from Carolina to Dallas, and the next day was there filming his first scene in Born on the 4th of July.
That is a different film.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that's it, really. We've covered basically everything. Yeah.
All right, Hug to Future remake, sequel, Let It Die, Leave Well Alone. The obvious answer is just Let It Die. But as I mentioned earlier, the concept would still totally play today. Like, it is a universal concept, that whole thing about, monsters under the bed. So I wouldn't be against a remake, because I think you could make a really good version of this movie. But I like the fact that it's so of its time. It's so weird. So I'm inclined to say but I'm not like attached to it. So I'm not like, oh, leave it well alone. Put it behind, kind of bulletproof glass. Just let it die. It's fine.
So I think the obvious answer is let it die. Now, I
Mhm.
was thinking, like we've said before, I was thinking about a remake, but I said earlier on, if they were going to do a remake, Maurice would be toned down. He wouldn't be
Yeah.
gross. He wouldn't be any of those things. And what I would want if I wanted a remake, even though I said about maybe getting my kid to watch it, I'd want it to be this gross thing,
Yeah, yeah,
what it
yeah,
was
yeah.
back then. So you're not going to give me that. So just let it die.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're in agreement there. Make a change. So if you only make one change to make this movie better, for me, it's just tone down Maurice. And if you don't tone him down, it's just like take him out of the game a bit more. Like the whole Beetlejuice thing. Like, as I say, the obvious comparison is undoubtedly Beetlejuice. Like I said, even beyond the aesthetic, the way he talks, sometimes I'm like, this feels like it could have been taken directly from Beetlejuice, but it's just like a little less screen time, I think would make the movie all the better.
For me, it was let the monster world make sense. The rules of the monster world are unclear. Sometimes they melt, sometimes they teleport, sometimes they turn into clothes, sometimes they just scream. I mean, a little consistency would go a long way. Or just give me a leaflet, give me a pamphlet of what's going on.
Yeah, like when
Yeah.
you get these really complex movies, and then they're just like, oh, you can buy like a comic book which kind of explains it, or like movies which are really poorly written, like the last Star Wars film. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, there's a comic book which actually explains a lot of what happened. If you have to release a comic to explain the film, the screenplay is fucked. It is fucked, and yeah, like it doesn't really matter with this film, and it certainly wouldn't have mattered if I'd watched this movie when I'm 8. But yeah, a lot of it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And a lot of it just isn't explained. In terms of video games, unsurprisingly, considering the fact that this movie largely flopped, at least upon initial release, there wasn't a video game adaptation. But if I was going to make one, it's a bit of a stretch, but aesthetically, I mentioned the fact that it reminded me a little bit of Hell from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. The other thing it reminded me of, bizarrely, was Acclaimed Shadow Man from 1999. And I was like, just imagine Shadow Man, only instead of going into the Shadow Realm, they're going into the monster world. And then you just kind of pop up and you have to scare kids. I just couldn't decide if you were like going to play basically Fred Savage's character, where you're like, I don't know, working with the monsters, or would it be more fun just playing a monster, kind of navigating the monster world and then having to kind of pick up points by scaring kids, I suppose? Something along those lines. Bit of a stretch, but I'll go with that.
I mean, I didn't even think of that. For me, this game felt like Psychonauts from 2005.
Fuck yeah, that's the winner, man.
Yeah.
And Psychonauts 2 is an amazing game in particular, and that is the correct answer. Yeah,
I mean,
get my one.
why does it fit? It's weird. It has surreal worlds. The child protagonists navigating bizarre environments. Monsters are equal parts funny and disturbing. A tone that swings between whimsical and unsettling. The shared DNA of it. It's imagination over logic. Colorful chaos. Characters who feel like they escaped from a fever dream.
But Shadow Man. Yeah, my answer was bullshit. Was the correct answer. So yes, Psychonauts 2. And if you haven't played Psychonauts 2 on the Xbox, the first one's still good, but you can skip that. Just go straight to Psychonauts 2. I think it's on PlayStation now as well, right?
I believe so. I mean, they were PlayStation games as well. PlayStation 2, I remember Psychonauts. So
I played it on the original Xbox, but yeah. Anyway, the new one's very good, and that is the correct answer. IMDb. So this is where we pick a random 10-star and 1-star review. But before we do that, I try and guess how many written reviews there are for this film. This is a tricky one because I feel like movies with a cult following, people can get quite passionate about them.
No. Whatever you think.
It's so niche. I'm going to go for 82.
Oh, dude, 77.
Oh, dude, I feel very good about that.
Yeah.
Now, this is actually trickier because I think there might be a lot of 10-star reviews for this film. I think people are passionate about it. I think they're mental, but I think they're passionate. I'm going to go for 27.
18.
I see.
Yeah.
I can live with that. I can totally live with that.
Right, so this one was written in June 2012, titled "I Love This Movie, It's Great."
Bang on. No fucking answer.
Okay, I will not give away its plot or anything like that, but I will tell you that I am in my mid-30s and I watched this movie when it first came out. And I read how another watcher mentioned how they couldn't understand why it was such a B movie, when it really should have been one of the top movies of its time. And I would have to agree with how it was made and how the plot was pretty solid for it. Unlike so many of the movies made in the past 10 to 15 years, it is very underrated and should be allowed to watch it for many years to come. For the young ins out there that want to know what a real movie looks like and how it should be processed, this guy hasn't put fucking full stops. They're all commas.
Yeah, well, everything about this review is annoying my brain, but let's
Yeah.
get through it. Let's get through it.
With the right people playing the characters and how the outfits are made right to fit scenes and etc. And yes, because of this movie and a select few others, I really wanted to start acting myself, but with where I live, it is very hard to get to LA, where I feel is the best chance to get into the acting business.
What
But I will
the
get there
fuck?
one day, and I will be looking for plots like this one and etc. So that I can feel comfortable with finding my place in the industry. All
And
because
etc.
all because the imaginative minds of the writers and set artists like these who created this movie. Dude, you ain't getting anywhere unless you use
Oh,
fucking punctuation.
I,
The other
I,
thing,
I want to mark this like as a review. Was when he said and etc. It reminded. Did you ever see that it was doing the rounds on like Instagram for a bit, where somebody for school had written a response to one of the exam questions about Mario? It is fucking gold, and the guy's reading out the kid's response, and he's like reading out the response from the teacher.
yeah.
And the kid just keeps writing about Mario, and then just randomly just says perchance at the end. It's like perchance question mark question mark. So this is just going to sound absolutely mental, and I don't know like what I would like how to search for it. Maybe like Mario perchance or Mario kind of exam question. It is absolute gold. It is so fucking funny, and that's what it reminded me of.
I was I was reading this, I was thinking, oh fucking hell. Like no punctuation or anything like that. And
Tough
like
going.
he
Tough
needs
going.
to get to LA where he's gonna have the best chance of the acting
I
business.
was expecting that shift where he's just like, listen, I'm going to become an actor and I'm going to make Little Monsters too.
But then I read, and I don't usually give the name of the person that wrote it, but the name of the person is Undertaker 22. And it's just a picture of Mark Calloway.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. This is the kind, like I said, a lot of these 10-star and 1-star reviews are absolutely mental. Let's see if the one, I feel like a 1-star review is probably a bit more like, I can be on board with it. I don't think this is a 1-star film by any suggestion, but if somebody watched this film and just despised it, I'm like, I could get it, but I suspect the reviews will still be mental. I don't think there's going to be many 1-star reviews though. I'm going to go with 4.
Spot on. Winner. We can quit.
Dude, this is one of my like better weeks.
Yeah.
I've been pretty close on all of them. And to get bang on for like the 1-stars, I'm feeling pretty great about my life.
This was written in May 2022, titled Monsters.
Yep.
The rating of 1 might be hard towards the girl starring in the movie, but it is a reflection of Fred Savage's acting skills.
Jesus Christ.
He shouts at his parents, has little or no respect towards others, can't believe it was all written like that. But then why would you give a kid a say in how he would act certain scenes? Edit. Later in life, Fred Savage will have lawsuits filed against him, so he became the boy who he played here, who is all but charming. This guy came back to his review
and felt strongly enough about what he'd written up to this point, which, let's be clear, is complete fucking cobblers.
Yeah.
And thought, I'm going to edit this because there's updated news on Fred Savage. So I'm going to make sure people know how I feel about Little Monsters and whatever fucking.
Well, it's not. I hate this movie because Fred Savage is in it. That's literally his review.
Yeah, but he liked the girl in it. It's I thought maybe the 1-star review would be a little bit more level-headed. That's also insane. It's absolutely insane. Quite fun though. Which leads us to our own scores and recommendations. So I don't think either of us are going to give this a 1-star or 10-star, which is not surprising because we don't do a 10-star scale. For me, this is, and again, I hate to use these, but it's come up again. It's another 2.5. It's 2.5 as fuck, this film. I was just like, I can't give this film a 3. It's too fucking insane. And Maurice is too annoying. But 2 stars felt harsh because it is imaginative and it is bonkers in quite a, I think you used the term earlier, endearing way. So it's just, it's 2.5 on the snout, man. And it's a no, by the way. I'm not telling anyone to watch this fucking film.
It's exactly the same. It's a 2.5 because basically for the things you said, Maurice starts to get annoying, which is pushing it down. But then he becomes, I'm not using that word again. And it pushes it up, but it's not a 3. We've given much better films 3s, so it is a 2.5. And I'm not recommending it.
Yeah, it's almost like, even though it's a very different film, I feel almost exactly the same about this as I did about Thrashing, which I think we had. If you took what our kind of scores and recommendations for Thrashing, it would sound exactly the same as this. We can't quite give it a 2 because it's too endearing and charming, but it's also far too shit to be a 3-star film.
Yeah.
So 2.5. And I would have bet the farm that you would have given this 2.5 as well. I would like Bethany was just like, oh, what are you going to rate this film? I was like 2.5, and Rob will definitely give this 2.5. It's just, if he comes out and says this is 4 stars, I'm not doing the podcast again.
We've been doing this together too long now. We kind of call each other.
Yeah, far too
Yeah.
often. So yeah, that has been 1989's Little Monsters. Next week is my choice. But before we do that, do you have a quiz for me, sir?
I do. So you have that game that you'd like to play, and I thoroughly enjoy it. So we're thinking of.
Which I always poorly explain, and I forget that the explanation is literally on the fucking box next to me. But
So I figured I'd come up with a quiz as well, and we tried the known for, and it's fine. We play known for, but I want to give you the same brain teasers that you give me.
Okay.
So I'm going portmanteau quiz. Okay.
Good thing I know what that means. Because I said that to my wife. I was like, oh, this is like a portmanteau. And she's like, poor man's toe. I was like, for fuck's sake.
I know what it means. It took me a minute to say it, but a portmanteau, yeah.
Yeah,
Basically, I'm going to give you clues. I'm going to read you out a paragraph or a sentence, mainly a sentence, not a paragraph. And it's a description of two films. And the portmanteau is it's the end word will lead into the next film. So for example,
kind of like Answer Smash from House of Games.
Yes. So for example, this isn't one of the quizzes. This is the example. A man must protect the last pregnant woman on Earth while two fun-loving garbage men investigate a body they find in the trash. The answer would be
Children of Men at Work.
Exactly. Yes.
Boom.
Yeah. So this is where we're going.
Oh, see, no, I got that one right. I'll fuck the rest now. I was feeling really good, but that one doesn't count apparently. Fucking
no, it doesn't. But hang on, none of them will count because I can't. Oh, there you go. I couldn't find where I saved them. Okay. So number one. A mischievous group of tiny creatures wreak havoc in a young boy's life, whilst a grieving corrections officer begins an unexpected relationship that forces him to confront guilt, loss, and redemption.
The first one isn't Gremlins, is it?
No, I'll give you a hint because this is the first time we're doing it.
Oh, wait. Okay, sorry. Yeah,
all right. Hint. The hint is we've just covered this film. Like today. That's the hint.
Oh, Little Monsters. What the fuck?
A grieving correct.
Little Monsters Ball?
Yes, Little Monsters Ball.
Thank you. Yeah, I would have never got that. The fact that you were talking about Little Monsters, I was expecting it to be something different.
Yeah.
Little Monsters Ball. Yeah. But I got there with a bit of help. I feel okay about that.
A group of teenage vampires lure newcomers into their nocturnal world, whilst a young man struggles to survive the harsh realities of life in a violent, scarred neighborhood.
Lost Boys in the Hood?
Yeah, Lost Boys in the Hood.
Awesome.
You are nailing this. Are you going to get this one straight away? I didn't say they were hard. I just said they were fun.
No, they're fun. I'm all for it. You don't want to be too fucking hard. Give me a chance, man. It's the first week.
A plane full of dangerous convicts is hijacked mid-flight, whilst the president must battle terrorists to reclaim control of his own aircraft.
Do you know, I was trying to guess which way this is going. I was like, is this going to be Con Air Bud or Con Air Force One? Yeah. I assume it's the latter rather than Con Air Bud. Yeah. I was like, is he going to mention a dog playing basketball? Could be Air Bud. Am I making that up? Air Bud was a film about a dog playing basketball.
Air Bud was a film. So, dude, Air Bud had like 15 sequels, and they've remade it. Like the remake came out last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck, I had no idea. The thing is, I never watched Air Bud. I missed the boat anyway. And I certainly wasn't aware that they made a follow-up sequel, whatever it is. Yeah, that was good fun, actually. Great game. Which allows me to pick my film. God, that was a horrible sentence. I do apologize. I didn't quite
next week is your choice, sir. So
there we go. Thank you. Jesus Christ. Let's get this over the line. The year is 2008.
Oh, fucking hell.
Which is a really depressing year because I was going to say it's relatively new. And if 2008, and this movie feels quite new to me, and I'm like, it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah, so it's 18 years away. Like, fucking hell.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Well, I'm going to need more than 2008.
Okay, I'm going to give you the star rather than the director because I think that would be a giveaway. So the star is Emile Hirsch.
Jesus Christ, was it that long ago? Speed Racer.
Speed Race, yeah. The reason I'm doing this is because when this film came out in the cinema, I actually thought it was really cool. Cool beans. And obviously it flopped because no one knew how to fucking sell this film and it was bizarre. But I remember the time thinking, nothing else looks like this film. And because it flopped, no one has followed, like, there's been no iterative design on Speed Racer since 2008. This was a, creative dead end in many respects. So I'm expecting, like, to go back and still to have that feeling, like, there's nothing else quite like it. And despite the fact that I bought it on Blu-ray, I don't think I've actually watched it since I saw it in the cinema. And I was just reminded of it because, as I said, bizarrely, this showed up in IMAX in limited, only a number of cinemas. But it was like on IMAX for 2 days, like 3 weeks ago. And I was like, fuck, Speed Racer. Where the hell did that come from? But it has, I think, despite the fact that it got like largely critically mauled when it was released, it's been somewhat reappraised as this like totally unique
it's
definitely
movie. It's definitely become the epitome of a cult classic.
Like, but just so happens to be a £200 million cult classic.
Yeah.
And I think especially in like today's climate where everyone's like so risk averse, this was like, obviously this only got made because of The Matrix. Basically, the Wachowskis made The Matrix and they said, listen, you've got a blank check. You can make whatever you want. And they made this. No one is getting 200 fucking million to make Speed Racer, a live action Speed Racer in 2026. It's just not happening. So if anything, it's quite, Krista, what's the word I'm looking for? Old. Yeah. It's quite old-fashioned. There's a fancy word I was looking for, and it's escaping me. But there's nothing quite like this, anyway.
Do you remember when they cast Emil Hirsch as well? Mm-hmm. And this, because it was being directed by the Wachowskis who gave us The Matrix, everything, that this was going to make his career. This was going and then they come out and they went, Emil who?
Yeah.
Bless him.
It's happened to a bunch of they're just like some movies are like they get their shot, but they're like, oh, this guy's pretty hot. We're going to make him the face of a movie. And if it flops, a lot of them, that's it. That's the only chance you get. And Emil Hirsch, like he was in a few movies after this, but he never got that kind of like, all right, you're going to be the leading man again in quite the same way.
Was he? There was a random film set in Russia. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was Emil Hirsch, where people kept disappearing. Aliens were kidnapping you, or and like you'd kill them with light bullets.
That rings a bell.
The Darkest Hour. It was him.
I think
it was him with Max Mangala as well. Oh, and what was his fucking Joel Kinnaman?
Yeah. I remember that film. I seem to recall it wasn't very good.
No, it wasn't. No, I picked it up a lot. Like Kat and I watched it like late at night one night when we were in a hotel room, and it was just like, fucking hell, we could be doing anything else other than watching this film.
Well, yeah, because he had like a bit of a run because he got Speed Racer because he was in The Girl Next Door and then he was in Into the Wild, which was a surprisingly big hit. Yeah. And it's a good film as well. And he was in Lords of Dogtown, which was, it wasn't a massive hit, but it was a cool film. Alpha Dog. He was on like a nice little run and then Speed Racer kind of derailed things. And like I said, he's been in films since, but he tends to get smaller roles now. But as I said, like Speed Racer flopped upon release. I think it made like 90 million off a massitive production budget.
He's, sorry to interrupt. He is still acting. But it's like he's not being picky about his role, should we say?
Yeah, like I said, he had a moment there. This was like the big shot where it's like, if this movie works and it's a big hit, you don't know where his career goes after this, but it didn't work out. And obviously his career, I don't want to say tailed off, but it never quite reached that same peak again, did it? I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
But as I said, I've got it in my head that this has been reappraised, that everyone's jumped on board and they finally get it now, because as I said, I was like one of those people when it came out, it's just like, dude, I think this film's fucking awesome. It had its problems, but I was like, there's nothing else like it. But as I said, I've not seen it for depressingly the best part of 20 years. So looking forward to revisiting it.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, the Wachowskis are very hit and miss.
Incredibly hit and miss. At every bound in The Matrix, there is a, what was the one with Channing Tatum?
Jupiter's Legacy. Ascending. Jupiter's Ascending, sorry. Yeah. Jupiter's Legacy was the Mark Miller TV show book. The other one I always think of that I've never got through, I've tried it twice, was Cloud Atlas.
I did watch it. It's ambitious is the nicest thing I can say about it. It just didn't work. I mean, it's an incredibly tricky book to adapt to the best times. They took some pretty big swings with the aesthetic choices they made, especially with the characters playing, all the different versions of themselves. I can imagine it was a very good idea on paper. It just didn't really work. But even Jupiter Ascended, there were like little bits of it where just like, oh, it's got like that Wachowski flair, but it's just not a very good film.
I am a big fan of the two produced by films before and after Speed Racer.
Mm-hmm.
So before Speed Racer, they did V for Vendetta. They produced it.
Yeah, really good film.
Yeah. And after, Ninja Assassin. It's not a good film, but I'm a fan of it. I am a fan of it.
Listen, It is exactly what you said. It is not a good film. I'm a fan of it. My wife loves it for very different reasons. That is one oiled up Rain in that movie. And if nothing else, Speed Racer did introduce my wife to K-pop because we were watching it and she goes, "Who the fuck is that guy?" I'm like, "Oh, that's Rain." He's like, and this was
he was in Speed Racer as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. And this was long before K-pop became a thing over here. So that led to me having to like import Korean pop albums, like before, Gangnam Style hit big and all that other nonsense. So Rain is the reason that we have an elaborate collection of K-pop albums from the late noughties.
Could I just go off piste a little bit and recommend, because of Rain, not to you, but to everyone, I've tried to recommend it to you. I know you're waiting to watch it. Bloodhounds on Netflix. Season 1, fantastic. Season 2 has Rain in. And if you're a fan of Rain, I think you'll be a fan of season 2. But
Rain's a cool cat. One of the first albums I bought for my wife, I bought it when I went to Japan, and it was one of like the few places you actually buy, because you couldn't buy K-pop albums in the UK at that point. You had to get them imported, and it cost a fortune. So I was like, oh well, when I'm over there, I'll buy you like the latest Rain album. And I brought it back, and it was this bit, because they were always like elaborate. So it wasn't just you got the album; they had like artwork, and this one came with like a DVD with it as well. And in it, it's like a kind of like Moonwalker style kind of like crime epic starring Rain with a music video in it. And for some reason, he kills a dude with a pineapple. And I was like, it's the only time on screen I've ever seen anyone kill somebody with a pineapple. So Rain has got that distinction, if nothing else.
Ninja Assassin, for all its absurdity, gives one of the worst explanations in the world, where they kill the Interpol agent, but she's not dead because she has this rare condition where her heart's on the other side of her body. It's like,
I forgot about that. I actually own Ninja Warrior.
I own
Ninja Assassin. Sorry,
I own Ninja Assassin.
Blu-ray. We might have to do it on the podcast at some point. I wouldn't mind rewatching that. I don't know. I say that out loud and it's like, do we need to rewatch Ninja Assassin? Maybe I'm wrong there. But anyway,
we're the only ones who are going to be watching it. But Speed Racer. Matthew Fox is in this film as well, and he came off Lost fame, didn't he, for this? So
again, another one. It never quite worked. And again, you might blame this movie to a certain extent. It's like if this movie works out, maybe his career goes in a different direction. But Speed Racer apparently has a lot to answer for. But it's also visually utterly unique. And if you haven't seen it before, do give it a try before next week's podcast, if you can be bothered, listening in, of course. But sorry, that's not a very kind of glowing.
Where would one find this to watch it?
You can definitely get on Amazon Prime. I haven't checked it. I'm only saying that because I've got the Blu-ray, so I haven't actually looked. I should have.
That's okay.
I know you can definitely watch it that way, but I'm not sure if it's like free anywhere or any of that nonsense.
No. It's mainly to rent. Although
I was going to say I was between this. I'm going to tell you the other movie I was going to pick, just because it's popped up and it's free to watch the whole movie on YouTube at the moment. Remember Mystery Men?
Yeah, I own Mystery Men on Blu-ray.
I was like, do I want to rewatch Mystery Men? And I kind of
I keep thinking about wanting to watch it, and I keep thinking, I don't know, because comedies don't go.
I'm not sure if it was ever funny. I think I'm just enamored by Jeffrey Rush's character in that film. Is his name like Victor Frankenstein or something like that? No,
Casanova Frankenstein. Yeah.
I mean, that's a fucking great name, dude. But that might be the best thing about the movie.
So
that might literally be the best thing about the movie.
For me, the best thing about the movie, completely random, is Tom Waits.
Oh yeah.
Tom Waits is the inventor who whispers and talks to himself a lot, and I like Tom Waits in films.
Now I'm saying like maybe okay. Well, it's not going to be next week. We'll give it a few weeks, but maybe Mystery Men is. I wonder how I'd feel about it watching it, because obviously it came out before like the comic book boom of like the early 2000s.
It was 99, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 99. Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman was in it, wasn't he? He was the farter.
He was the flatulent fellow.
Yeah.
Oh, the spleen. That's even gross. Fair play, that is a gross name. See, we're talking about it now. I'm like, man, I want to watch fucking Mystery Men. What was I thinking? But it's too late. We're doing Speed Racer.
I'm looking forward to Speed Racer. Yeah.
All right, cool.
We might need to end this before we just keep trailing off to other films.
Yeah. We should wrap this up. Okay, I'm Liam. Apparently, he's Rob, as far as I can tell. Yeah. And you've been listening to Hey Guys podcast. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Oh, and before I forget, where can folk reach us if they were so inclined to?
Well, you can actually reach us on Hey You Guys 80s at Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. But if you want to send us a mail, do heyyouguys80s@gmail.com. Send us in your recommendations. Send us in your thoughts about any of the episodes. Just literally talk to us. We'll have a one-sided talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah. We're nice folk. Get in touch. But no, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Hey, you